In the top right corner, the Red Terran. Welcome to the channel, Drogo. And in the bottom left corner, the Blue Terran on the attack. We last saw on the attack losing a heartbreaker series against Shaky. I have some confidential sources that tell me he was rattled from that loss. Looking to put the pieces back together in the BSL's first ever TVT matchup. Drogo here, he's a Platinum 2 player. Similar MMR as on the attack. He's no slouch. He's going for a proxy Rax. So seeing as how ATAC folded to that 4-gate pressure from Shaky, we're going to have to see here how he fares against this proxy Rax. At least he's scouting with this SCV. He's doing a good job checking out the ramp. Sees that there's no barracks on the top of that ramp, so the alarm bells must be going off for on the attack. By deduction, if the barracks aren't there, they must be proxying you with something. And obviously, the only thing you can build at this stage in the game is a barracks. 3 barracks outside of on the attack's third base location. Some Reapers could exploit that cliff, for sure. ATAC in response, he's building his own second barracks. He's walling off his ramp. Scouting again with the SCV to see if any Raxes come down behind here in the ramp. Putting the jab out to this constructing FCV that's making the supply depot. And what the heck is going on here? Drogo knows he's been scouted. He's flying his Rax all the way back home. So I understand the logic. If your rush has been scouted, it might be right to abort, but I feel like flying these 2 Raxes, and I suppose the third one eventually as well, that's going to be a lot of lost production time, and you're just going to be playing from behind from then on. Let's just confirm, yeah, on the ATAC has not scouted the exact location of this proxy, but regardless, because of that scouting SCV, I believe Drogo has abandoned the rush, which I'm not sure if is a good idea. Because maybe, even though ATAC scouts it, his response could be shaky, or his response may not be the optimal response, and you can exploit that by putting pressure on him. But now, Drogo's going to be playing from behind. On the ATAC already has 2 Marines out on the field. He's building another Rax, a factory, a bunker. From his perspective, he doesn't know that Drogo's abandoned this attack. So bunker going down. Tech lab on the factory for the siege tank. On Drogo's side of the map, he's trying to land those Raxes. And he's going tech lab as well on the factory, but he's starting to starport way earlier than on the ATAC. On the ATAC doesn't have starport tech. He's trying to hold to a potential proxy. But by the 320 mark, if no Reapers or Marines have shown their faces, you got to start getting suspicious and thinking, is this actually a proxy? What the hell's going on here? So ATAC has a decent ball of Marines, and he's looking to do a little bit of venturing onto the map, at least into this natural location, to see if there's any infrastructure or proxy, something, or units outside. He sees it's completely empty. This starport here from the Red Terran, building a Liberator. Siege tank pops out. Both players are just playing off of one base here. ATAC is now going to confirm that there's no proxy outside of this third base. So those proxy Raxes, by flying home, they've created an opportunity for on the ATAC, and he's moving out with this Marine force. No stim, no medvac. But he's got to have confidence in his high Marine count, and he's thinking, if there was any proxy, I don't see it. So maybe the Raxes flew back home, and that's the correct deduction. And if so, there is a huge gap in that production time. One Viking coming out here, a Liberator out for the Red Terran Drogo. That should do him well. Whoever has vision should have the advantage here. Okay, we see a siege tank also coming up here. Is this a classic on the ATAC contain play? He loves putting pressure on his opponents with a tank shelling away at the front wall, guarding it with Marines. Drogo knows it's coming. He's building a bunker at the top of the ramp. On the ATAC, sieging in position. He's sending one sacrificial Marine to get some vision. But was it worth a Marine? That Marine just died from the Liberator. And now the tank is forced to move back. Pretty good micro from on the ATAC, actually. Once he realized he was taking that tank fire, pulled it out immediately, saved the tank's life. But it is battered and bruised. And with this Liberator blocking the ramp, the Marines cannot get much value. So that 15 to 8 Marine differential cannot be exploited right now. So Drogo doing a solid job on the defense. However, on the ATAC is getting that second base. And if on the ATAC could delay that second base for the Red Terran, that would be amazing for him. But he's going to town here. He went to get 2 Vikings out. He went reactor on the starport. And he's got the air superiority now. He bruised up that Liberator, which barely got away. And now this air superiority is giving vision to the Red Terran to shell down this bunker. Repair is way too late. No salvage on the bunker. Supply depot is going down. The Red Terran's capped and he's floating 460 minerals. And he's got no command center behind this at all. Whereas on the ATAC, he's finishing his second CC. He's definitely in the driver's seat so far. He's winning in the SCV count. He's winning in almost every metric. And these Vikings are definitely going to outduel the Liberators in an air fight, as long as they're decently spread. And the tanks are just going to town on this front. Drogo forced to retreat. I don't know why this tank has been back the whole time. Definitely a misplay from Drogo. If this tank was in position over here to guard against this frontal assault, which has been going on forever, I think as ATAC moved these tanks forward, this tank may have been taken out. But instead, he's backed up. He's conceded the ramp completely, keeping this tank out of the fight. And I'm not sure if that's working out for him. In fact, I know it isn't. Because there's no second CC. He's got no air control. He's ceded ground to these tanks, which are leapfrogging. And his infrastructure is slowly getting shelled down. The proverbial on the ATAC stranglehold is in effect a slow death. Cyclone also went down from a tank shot. Was not microed well at all. And Drogo, his back is to the wall, definitely. This starport's backing up too. ATAC can keep leapfrogging these tanks. Now Marine's caught out now. And that's a huge loss for Drogo. SCV count 34 to 21. Drogo's factory now under threat, being flown away. Tech lab goes down. This Rax is being shelled. And no leapfrog from on the ATAC. He's going to move all 3 tanks up at the same time. That's how confident he is. Takes out a factory with the Vikings. But wait a minute. Some Vikings are being killed by these Marines. And the tanks were not sieged up to punish. And the tanks died underneath the Vikings to the backwards tanks of Drogo. Now the Marines are coming in. And they're firing on these Vikings, which are not being microed at all. The wounded Vikings were a very juicy target. But now ATAC's superior Marine count is coming forward to save the rest of them, but they're wandering into some tank shots. And that was some sloppy micro from on the ATAC. And now he's looking to get this extractor. If you're only on one base, losing an extractor is huge. Liberator comes in with the save. But the bigger story is that on the ATAC has been out expanding and containing his opponent. Vikings now take out the Liberator. And Drogo really needed a starport in a safe location with a reactor constantly pumping Vikings as a response. He's landing it in a safe location and going reactor now, but I feel like this might be too little too late. The damage has been done. Look how many resources Drogo is pooling. And in the units lost tab, it's been firmly in favor of on the ATAC. Up a little more than 800 resources total. Despite that misplay just that happened about a minute ago. And look at this. He's even building a factory outside of his opponent's base. That's how confident he is. And I feel like this is GG. It's a slow death via strangulation, but the blue Terran is on 3 bases to none. This command center is not even done. ATAC has the air superiority. He's got the superior tank count. He's got 25 Marines to 8. And this Rax is even getting shelled down now. The Vikings are taking it down as it flies away. The tanks are shelling this tech lab, and this Rax will soon be forced to fly away as well. And this might be the slowest death I've ever seen in my life, as Drogo refuses to GG, even though it's clearly over. This command center is way too late. On the ATAC has his 3rd saturated. So we've seen some improvements in ATAC's macro, even though he was slow to get his 2nd base up because of that chaotic opening. He's grabbed that 3rd base and he saturated it decently. He's in a commanding position. There's no hope for this base. It's been completely abandoned. Meanwhile, the Red Terran Drogo sending these medvacs out onto the map, throwing a scan down onto ATAC's Natro, knowing his only shot in this game is to get some counter damage done, because he can't fight this army. And now he's floating this command center. It's not even landing anywhere. Drop coming in here. 1 tank dropped. A bunch of Marines with it. On the ATAC. Pulls the SEVs. Could have been a tad quicker, but it was a decent pull. Meanwhile, Drogo setting up now outside of the production of On the ATAC. On the ATAC, bringing his whole army back now. Except for these tanks, which are still sieging. But while this army goes back, ATAC should be leapfrogging these tanks. Yep, that's what he's doing. Should leapfrog more aggressively. Scan goes down to check. The Vikings here can easily clear out these medvacs. Some Marines sloppily leaking in from On the ATAC. But this is a huge bioforce. And now that On the ATAC has stim, should have no problem cleaning this up. Marines are shooting down Vikings in the back. That's great, but eventually they need to meet their maker, and they're going to fight this superior bio count. Down goes Drogo. The CC was landed, but it makes no difference. Drogo was just suffocated by On the ATAC.